Hey everyone. So I'm still at home uh, battling this flu or whatever it is. But yeah, I figured while I'm recouping, I'd share another narcissistic abuse chronicle story, which is basically one of the uh, one of the situations that happened between myself and a narc. And I love sharing these stories. I think it's therapeutic for me. And it's not triggering in any way. And I honestly thank God. I think it's God that's given me the peace to, accept what has happened and wanted me to use or to actually use the situation that I was in as a tool to help others that may be in it and or um, to help at least educate. So jumping right in, so this particular day, it was a Saturday, and the ex-narc was living with me. I was stationed in Mississippi at Keesler Air Force Base at the time. I lived off base in my own apartment, all that good stuff. And by this time, I had let the ex narc move in with me. He had no job at the time. So he would, do his thing at home or at my place, playing video games while I was at work. During this time, his birthday was coming up. And he had never been to Disney World. I've been like 3 or 4 times growing up. So he wanted to go big for his birthday. And I had, scrimped and saved my pennies to do this 1 week Disney World or to plan this 1 week Disney World vacation for his birthday. And he even, I'm sorry, it's my clock in the background. It makes chiming music. So anyway, he wanted to also do it so big that he wanted a limo to pick us up from the airport, to our hotel or resort. So I was 100% okay with trying to make this the biggest and the best for him. And I had locked everything in. I had, the limousine secured. I had paid for the 1 week stay at the resort. And yeah, everything was good. So I remember it was like 2 or 3 days before we were to fly out. Excuse me, 2 or 3 days before we were to fly out from Mississippi to Florida. Um, I remember he was playing video games as usual, and it was a Saturday morning, and I remember he was playing this particular game that really didn't sit well with me. And I'm okay with video games, but some of these video games out there are just too much. Like, they're, let's just say what it is. Some of them are straight up demonic, and there's no other words for it. So he happened to be playing this game. I can't remember the name of it, but it just didn't sit right with me. And I politely told him, could you please not play that in my home? It's really disturbing me. It's disturbing my spirit. Something just don't feel right. Whatever. Just, play any other game, but don't play anything like that. And he basically ignored me. He just act like I didn't say anything. And, I'm not one to, I don't like confrontations, but when I feel like I've been, you know, extremely nice and trying to, convey my feelings over to you on what I like and what I dislike, I would like for you to comply, especially if you're supposed to be, with me. And so, yeah, he just brushed me off, and I let him know again in a nice way that, I would really like for you to turn that off. And, you know, I'm not trying to control you, but I don't like that game. And so he had said something crazy under his breath. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna break away for a second. That's what I was telling myself. I'll just break away for a second and go on the balcony and get some air. Just kind of give him some time to do it, on his own as far as turning the game off or switching the game. Because I didn't want him to feel like I was like towering over him, making him feel uncomfortable. So I go out on the balcony. I think I was out there for like 5 minutes or so. I come back to the bedroom and he's still playing the game. So I was clearly irritated, and I did end up raising my voice, nothing too crazy, but I was just like, why is it so hard for you to listen to what I asked you? Like, I asked you to turn the game off and you're still playing it. And he just, you know, he was like in a rage. Like, you could see whatever was going on in his head, he was just like boiling over. So he just threw the controller down, and I was standing in the doorway of the bedroom, and he walked past me. But when he walked past me, he like deliberately brushed his body up against me as he walked past. Like, it wasn't one of those, oh, maybe it was an accident, or it was just, something that you could just look past. Like, he definitely made it known that, I'm upset with you or whatever, and yeah, I'm gonna brush my body up against you. And it was in a forceful way where the door actually hit the the door stopper in the back. So during that time, I mean, at that time, I was like, oh, heck no. And because it was very apparent what he did, I just gave him a little shove just to show him, like, that's not okay. Like, what do you think you're doing? And I'm not a fighter, but I just wanted to let him know, like, you shouldn't do that to me. And honestly, that should have been the last straw. Like, you're not supposed to put your hands on anyone, man or woman. And as soon as I pushed him, and it wasn't even a hard shove or anything like that, the man had the nerve to snatch my wig off my head. Yes, he snatched my wig off my head. And for those who don't know, I do wear wigs, um, not because I'm, you know, protecting anything underneath, because I damaged my hair extremely bad over the years. So, with glue and sew-ins and all that good stuff, or bad stuff. Um, but anyway, so yeah, I've always worn wigs. Um, and so he's never honestly seen the mess that's underneath, you know, my wigs. And so I was obviously, I was like mortified. Like, I couldn't even I couldn't even think straight. It's like that was my kryptonite. Like, don't don't do that. It's not like he snatched my wig off and I had a protective style underneath, and it was like whatever, whatever. Like, I have bald patches. I have scalp, like. So anyway, I was just like mortified, like I said, and I like crawled into my bathroom as fast as I could, and I had some backup wigs or whatever, and I just kind of threw one of them on, and I was just like, "Oh my god, like, I can't believe this just happened." And I was like, "I want you out of my house now. Like, birthday schmirthday, I don't care. It's over. I'll figure it out, take somebody else, but this is done." And so, being a narcissistic person, he was like, I'm not going anywhere, make me, and all this stuff. So I was like, fine, I'm just going to get the cops involved because obviously, you know, you're not listening to me. So I ended up calling the cops. They showed up, and it had to have been like the funniest story for them that day or even that month. Because I'm standing there telling them how he snatched my wig off my head, and, these cops who were Caucasian were looking at me like, oh my gosh, like, did she really say that? But anyway, they asked him if he had any mail that came to the apartment, and he said no. And they asked him if he paid any bills um, in the apartment. He said no. So they said he had 5 minutes to get his stuff and to vacate the premises, which he did. And they made sure that he left um, in a peaceful manner. So after that, he ends up calling me over and over and over, and I wouldn't pick up. And he would leave messages and text me, and he just kept saying, you're not mad, you're just embarrassed, like, get over yourself, stop making it about you, blah blah blah, just deflecting and everything. And long story short, I ended up um I ended up giving in, and you know listening to the voicemails, and you know, just second guessing myself, like, okay, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe he's right. Maybe, he was, or I was just being too dramatic or whatever. But honestly, that was not the case. I ended up taking him back, and the next day, because he ended up staying in a hotel overnight or whatever, I took him back and we proceeded to fly out to celebrate his birthday a few days later as planned. And as you can see in the picture that I have posted, you would never tell, or no one would be able to tell that, you know, that craziness went down um, just a couple of days before, we took that trip. And we took quite a few pictures like that around the resort and stuff like that. Had a good time still, but it just, you know, goes to show that you can't judge anyone or anything based off of pictures just because, anybody can smile for the camera or, you know, make it look a certain way when that's not what was going on behind the scenes. So, yeah, that was just another story I wanted to share with you all. And, I honestly was trauma bonded. I feel I was trauma bonded. He had slowly started the trauma bonding and the push and pull as narcissists do. Um, and, I was starting to be like that battered wife. They say the battered wife syndrome, where the woman keeps going back even after the man abuses or puts his hands on her. So,